Yo, what's going on, Iron Breakers? How you doing? Welcome back to the Third Fleet Podcast, episode 27, right? I'm back.
Yeah.
How'd you like that amalgamation, that fusion?
Yeah, that was good. Iron Breakers getting saluted by Eric's. That's friggin' hype as hell. We also have with us, obviously, Gadget Hunter. How you doing, sir?
I'm awake. It's not. It's a different time of the day, obviously, since we've got the gang back together. So yeah, I'm feeling awake.
This is good because, like, for us it's early morning. For Gadget it's like late afternoon. This is actually a much better time slot, but we usually don't have as much time to record around this hour, so
Yeah,
it makes it a little bit more challenging.
It eats into my mom job of buying groceries, making dinner, and playing with Yuna and stuff.
So, Eric's, how have you been since episode 11, kind of, I guess? Although you have been in the channel since before that. We talked at some point. But what have you been up to in Monster Hunter things?
Yeah, I've been good. I can't believe, was it actually episode 11? It feels like
it was episode 11.
The other week.
Exactly.
Wow. Damn, that's great. That's great. I was gonna say as well, because the mornings are great, but I realize every time we record in the morning, the sun shines through there, it reflects off my head, and then on the camera that you'll see in the thing, it basically just like I become like a glowing beacon. So I apologize if for half of this you can only just see a beard and like a ghost.
You're celestial. That's what we always see. So,
but
there you go.
It is pretty funny, though, because like I was looking at this as well at my camera, and I was like, oh, wow, I don't even need like artificial lighting today. This is great. Usually it's super dark in here, and I have like 3 lights, and I'm still super dark, and it's like, oh, okay, this is much better.
Now you get the reflection from the beacon. It's like the episode from, what was it, from Lord of the Rings on the second film. Like, look to the north on the third day, you'll see the beacon.
The beacons of Minas Tirith are lit. The beacons are lit.
Exactly. There you go. But yeah, no. Otherwise, I've been just been grinding away, just kind of juggling, like mainly Monster Hunter, a few other games. To be honest, like there hasn't really been too many other games at the moment. Obviously, we're getting close to E3, which I'm incredibly excited for.
Oh yeah.
But just been plugging away, getting all the updates done, farming kind of bits and bobs and whatnot. And I kind of feel like I'm up to date on most of the stuff that I need to be doing now, which is good.
Good. I've actually mean to ask you.
I just had the most random. Sorry, I just had the most random thing pop in my head, and I think my audio is desyncing, so I'm talking over you guys. But
yep.
When you mentioned your head shining, I was thinking, so in the old Monster Hunter games, when you wave at the ship in the air and there's a little glimmer, that was you.
It was me. This whole time I've been in the hot air balloons.
It's like,
I'm sorry.
The reason it glows is because Eric's just like bows from the balloon.
Yep,
it's over there, guys.
Let's go.
Anyway, I apologize if I talk over you guys today. It's I don't know what's up with Discord and Mac OS. They're not liking each other lately.
OS X
anyway,
is not
go on.
is being weird. But I wanted to ask, and this goes for you as well, Gadget. Any games that you are either currently playing besides Monster Hunter, or games that you're kind of specifically looking forward to? Let's start with Eric's.
Ooh, so in the short term, obviously next week is Guilty Gear Strive. Super looking forward to that. For what I was gonna say, for once, a fighting game. Like I love fighting games. Fighting games are one of my favorite genres. I'm not hugely great at them. I'm like an average fighting game player, but I just enjoy them. But annoyingly, every time a fighting game comes out, it's normally alongside something else, like a Monster Hunter game or some other game that I have to cover. So I can't play them enough to get good anyway. Guilty Gear was originally in a clear window. I was like, this is great. And then they were like, well, Final Fantasy VII Remake is also coming out. Well, I mean, Remake Integrate is coming out. And Ratchet and Clank. So those, next week, is going to be like 3 games and E3 announcements. So that's the short term.
Ratchet,
well, now I'm depressed.
Ratchet and Clank is next week?
I think it's next week. I'm pretty, unless I'm getting it wrong, I swear it's June 9th. Unless I'm mistaken.
I haven't been following it that closely, but I am curious about trying out another Ratchet and Clank game because those games are fun.
Sorry, I'm depressed because you said that you are not good at fighting games, but when we met in Tokyo years ago and we went to a gaming cafe, the two of us, we were sitting down on like little sofas and playing like it was like Street Fighter 4 or something. And I think overall you won most of the matches.
Just about.
And now you're like, oh, I'm not really good at fighting games. I'm like, what am I now?
Street Fighter 4 I had played more, to be fair. It's more the newer ones that I was always like, I really want to get good. and then like everyone will keep practicing, and then I'm like, but I've got to make videos and this other stuff, and then when I
Yeah.
come back, everyone's just god tier, and I'm like, well, I'm destroyed. And yeah, Ratchet and Clank is June the 11th. I just double checked, so yeah.
Oh, sweet.
It's
but
looking really
it's-
good. Looks really good.
It's always very hard for content creators to actually, unless they just play that one game. I find it's very hard for content creators to excel at, you know, a lot of different video games, because it's like, for instance, for us, I feel like we're probably all really good at Monster Hunter, and there's very little else. Like I can be pretty decent at Souls as well, I guess. But, you know, besides that, whenever I go to another game, it's kind of a little bit rough, at least at the start, to kind of get that adaptation period.
Yeah, especially if you're jumping between games that have got like drastically different. Even like recently, like I went and played some Biomutant, and obviously I was playing that with Xbox controller, and then I've come off of like hundreds of hours of Monster Hunter, and the buttons are in a different place, so I'm trying to press A and B and roll.
Yeah.
I'm just like, I can't do this.
Yeah,
So yeah.
even just navigating Final Fantasy XIV menus has been completely insane for me, because I just start pressing circle instead of pressing X, and just like, God.
Oh no! Oh, you
I mean,
played it on
the good thing is, the good thing though is if you pick up a game that has stamina management, and it's like,
Yep.
we don't even have to think about it, right?
Yep.
I'm just like, we do that naturally in our heads. So I'm like, oh, stamina, okay. Like that's
True.
people reviews would be like, you got to watch your stamina when you. I'm like,
No, I don't.
got this.
Nope.
So, Gaijin, what about you? Anything that you've been playing besides Monster Hunter, or something that you're looking forward to? I mean, I don't know why I'm asking this. I'm pretty sure you haven't played anything besides Monster Hunter with you and Yuna.
I say, since when has there been games out
Exactly.
other than Monster? I thought Monster was the only thing out right now. What are you talking about? I
But
don't know what you're talking about.
but is there anything that you're looking forward to in the coming months or so?
Oh my! I mean, there was stuff I was looking forward to, and now it's just on the backlog that I'm still looking forward to. Like I know you just did a video about Mass Effect, the trilogy. That is a guilty pleasure that I've been looking forward to, that I will eventually get to, because like I played the first game like 2 full times, 5 full times the second game, and I haven't played the third. So like I want that really
Yeah.
bad. Stories too, obviously, but that's Monster Hunter, so I guess that's a cheap answer. And honestly, no, I don't know. Like I know there was a list of games I was looking forward to, but I completely forgot them all. And at this point, it's okay. Like if they don't come out until next year or the year after, I'm
You're
good.
good.
I'm busy. I'm good.
So, just to round things up, I myself, I've been playing Mass Effect. I mean, replaying, because I've already played
Rub it
through it
in.
once, and I'm currently like halfway through Mass Effect 2. I took a break because obviously 3.0 came out. But yeah, I'm playing through Mass Effect, and another game that I want to get into whenever I'm done with Mass Effect is Near Replicant. I haven't gotten to play that at all yet, because I know that when I start with that one, I want to play it like all the way until the very end. Nothing else will do for me, pretty much.
And probably multiple playthroughs, right?
What?
Probably multiple playthroughs as well, because like near games
yeah.
have got like different endings, right? So
Yep. I mean, but I don't.
I'm kind of curious though. Like, does the remake have the old man or the young boy?
The
Which
young
one
boy.
is it?
the yeah.
Why? Oh, yeah, because that's the one that you've already played, because that's the one that was out in Japan. But in the West, we got Gestalt the first time around, and now we're getting the young boy.
I like the old man.
But it's like, I don't know if the multiple endings of Nier, I mean, because I don't know what Replicant is like, but Automata, I wouldn't really consider multiple playthroughs what you do, because it's like, it's constantly new things every single, I mean, there's an ending, but it's constantly new things. I mean, have you played through the Nier games at all, Eric, or no?
Not all the way through. Like it's annoying because again, it's one of those ones that like I would really like
Yeah.
to. Like I've played bits of it, like, but I know I really enjoy the combat because I like those kind of games. Like it's the sort of thing that I would enjoy playing. But I just find that these days, it's like if I, especially when games like that come out, if I don't play it the week it's out, so I can kind of just use that as the motivation to kind of get
Yeah.
through. If it goes in the backlog, it is so difficult for me to go back. Like it's taken me. I mean, like one of the biggest sins. I'm glad I've fixed it now because it is a game that I like. Like God of War, right? The new God of War. I mean, obviously, like I'm molding myself around the character. For the longest time, I hadn't finished it because
Oh
it
my
came out, I
God,
can't remember what
really?
it was. Yeah, for
Wow.
a while, right? Because I played through it. I played like a good chunk of the way through it, and then something happened, and I had to basically put it on the back burner. And then when it like I finally got back to it, I was like, oh, I'll start again. So I started again, and the same thing happened. I was like, oh, for goodness sake. So then Christmas this year, I was like, no, I'm gonna finish this because I want like I like Norse mythology and I like everything about it. So I was like, I need to get this done. So I sat down, finally did it, love it. It's now one of my favorite games. So I'm like, yeah, that's
That
done.
game
So I
is
do, but
amazing.
then. And
Well,
on
I
that
mean,
topic,
considering how productive you are, it doesn't surprise me, to be honest.
Yep.
I don't.
I tried to be, but I also have to do the same with Horizon now. Like Horizon 2 looks fantastic. I never finished.
You've
number
never
one.
played Horizon? Oh my
I know
god!
I played it, but I never finished it. So and given that it's basically Monster Hunter with robot dinosaurs, I need to do it. So
You know, I actually got
Steve-
to speak with the developers of that game when it was announced at the E3 that it was announced, and because I had seen some of the footage and I was like, wow, this just reminds me so much of Monster Hunter. I just straight up asked the devs like, were you guys inspired by Monster Hunter at all? And they was like, yeah, hell yeah,
And they're like,
of course. I was like, yes, makes
100%.
perfect sense.
and can we? I guess because it's been going around like other stupid stuff on the internet. Well, I will put it out there. Aloy is beautiful. So
she looks great.
these haters. I don't know if you've seen the stupid haters. They're like,
Yeah.
fans should redesign her, and then she looked horrendous in their Photoshop thing.
The fan redesign was hilarious because like it had like lip gloss and like all kinds of makeup, and I'm just like, yes, I'm sure all of those things are available in that
like,
post-apocalyptic.
It's like, let me
I was
paint
like,
a picture.
this has to be a parody, right? And I'm like,
Yeah.
it isn't. I'm like, oh my gosh.
She's like, yeah, you know, the world is in chaos, the whole world has crumbled, but before I go and save my friends who are in danger, I must put on my makeup first. No, hell no, I'm going to save my friend. It's
She's
crazy.
best girl.
I didn't even think about it when I saw the footage. After I saw the stuff, like I was like, okay, let me see if there's like a photo comparison between the first one and this one. And yeah, they changed like her facial structure a little bit, and I'm just like, I don't care. It's like whatever. I don't understand why they felt the need to do that. I mean, maybe they want to age the character a little bit. I guess that's the point because she does look older. But it's like I don't care either way. It's whatever. It's like I'm not playing through Horizon Zero Dawn and thinking like, oh man, I'd love to like date Aloy. It's like, no, that's not what I'm thinking about when I play.
No, exactly.
You think I want to survive? You know.
I just want to hunt a giant elephant robot thing. That's what I want to hunt.
Oh, it's so good. Have you ever played Horizon, Gaijin?
So I don't know if I ever told you this, but I bought it because I was very excited about it as well from the day they announced it. I bought it. I played the first, I want to say 6 hours, and then I watched the rest of it on YouTube.
Okay.
There was something about there's two issues. The game's awesome.
Yeah.
There was two things. Like one, the game felt very almost open world. It felt like it's a really vast world. And I get overwhelmed by that kind of stuff. Like you threw me in The Witcher, and I've tried to play that game a million times. I love it, but I just feel overwhelmed.
Yeah.
This coming from someone who puts 1,000 hours in a video game, I know it's pretty funny. That, and there was the human on human aspect I wasn't so much aware
right,
of, like
we
the
talked about
clans and
that.
just, yeah, and there's just something, it's not like I have a mental thing like I actively think about it, but there's just, when it's not just only me versus machines and there was other humans involved, there's something that just makes me feel icky, and it turned me off a little bit. I don't know what it is. It's just maybe, I'm just too optimistic, and I want to, I don't know. I don't want to see other humans being nasty to each other. And so there was that aspect, but the story was really cool. I got enough hands-on with the game mechanics to really appreciate the great job they did. The photo mode was really awesome.
Oh yeah.
And I ended up just watching the rest on YouTube, and I enjoyed it quite a bit. So
Yeah, the game was awesome when it came out. In my opinion, it was one of the best games that year. I think I scored it like number. I think it might have been number 3 because there was also Nier Automata that year and Breath of the Wild, of course. Which, I mean, Breath of the Wild is freaking amazing.
Yep. My
The-
number one game.
The biggest complaint that I would have about Horizon Zero Dawn is how it follows the original, at least, followed too much in the Ubisoft formula, which is like, hey, here's this open world map and here's everything you can do. Although to their favor, I guess, they at least made it achievable. So it didn't feel like I completed everything in the map, and it didn't feel like a complete chore. Like it was fine. The amount of activities that were available, I don't know since the Ice DLC that they've added, because I didn't play through all of that. But at least in the original one, I thought that the stuff was very much achievable to do for an average player. It's not something that would take you 200 or 300 hours to get through and boring things.
Yeah, I enjoyed the dialogue as well in that game. It reminded me of Mass Effect 1, actually, just with the going through all the dialogue. I thought the voice acting was really solid, and the opening was really good as a father. Like it felt just right. It was touching and got me hooked. So you don't have to play through a full game to love it and appreciate it. I did the same thing with Nier as well. I think I played it mostly through, and then I just stopped and watched the rest of it. I'm so bad.
But yeah, like Eric says, it's definitely worth to play through Horizon. But that one they didn't even give a release date, did they? The Forbidden West?
No, they said recently, they said yesterday that they are targeting some of the, like, they're trying to target, like, this year. They haven't confirmed it yet, because obviously there's still, like, things are up in the air. They confirmed, obviously, that God of War is being pushed into 2022, which we kind of expected anyway, and a few other games. But they are technically hoping for this year, so we'll have to see.
I'll be real.
I like that type of honesty, though. Like, you don't hear that much these days. Like, this is what we want to do, but we understand that it might slip. It's like super straight and forward. I really like that messaging.
Yeah,
because at least it shows that there's a possibility, but you're not let down. You have the idea in the back of your head that, it's hard times right now. They're struggling a little bit. So
yeah, definitely,
it's good stuff on their behalf.
Yeah, but personally, I hope that they push it because push it like the 2022. Because once Final Fantasy 14 Endwalker lands, I want to just like play the crap out of that.
It is hard to juggle anything when you're playing
everything. Nothing is allowed to come out next summer, fall area, because that's when I assume we're going to get Ultimate expansion for Rise, and so nothing's allowed to come out.
I think
Zelda 2, I'm sorry, but you're not allowed to come out. I know you probably will, but no, you can't do it.
I think Rise Ultimate might actually be like what's it called, holiday season next year, maybe. I think they might delay it a little bit. Because I don't know. I feel like summer is a little bit too close to just 1 year. I mean, it's usually not just 1 year, right? Like Iceborne came out.
It's usually 1 year. I mean, Iceborne's I think was a little bit different, but it is usually 1 year. And I think they also want to, if they're planning to announce, let's say, like a Monster Hunter 6 for next gen or something at like E3 2022 or something, it might be way optimistic. I don't know. But if they're planning on it, then they want to give it at least half a year breathing space between. So I guess holiday would still work. Next holiday feels, and I sound really stupid for saying this, but I still feel that next gen hasn't officially launched. And I don't think that this holiday season is quite it either. I think this holiday season is still going to be like a half launch. I think next holiday season will be like the official, like, okay, now we're going to sell some units and big games are going to hit, So it's going to be pretty packed probably next holiday, I think.
Let me be a little bit savage. Hey, Eric, imagine not having a PS5.
Oh no!
You know that I was at the store the other day, and
I saw you tweeting about it. Yeah.
Oh, hang on a second. Give me one moment.
Oh no! I don't know what's happening.
Uh-oh. He's like, here is my ticket saying that I'm not allowed to buy. That's got to be the difficult. That's the thing as well. It's like, I know there's a lot of like people sort of complaining about like, go on.
Imagine not having a PS5. Imagine not being able to have this.
Hey, that's my boy.
Mine is being delivered.
Sorry, I'm showing the plush for Tetranodon. They actually had PlayStation 5 in stock at the store that day, and I'm like, nope.
Wait, you could have bought a PS5 and you didn't buy it?
I'm tired at this point.
No, dude, but Demon Souls.
When you get burnt like 20 times in a row, you just kind of say, out of spite, I don't need you anymore. Jesus. And that's exactly what happened. So
ouch.
So I'm not interested. Eventually I'll get it, of course. I know that'll happen. There's always some great exclusive games that I'll want to play. So, but as for now, if I can enjoy, just laughing and being, I'm not even touching my Xbox Series X, which I adore.
Yeah,
I'm not even touching it right now because all I'm doing is playing my darn Switch. So,
But Eric, you were going to say something about PS5?
I was gonna say, yeah, because I know that at the moment there's like a lot of people are sort of, you know, they're announcing games that are kind of cross-gen. So some people will be like, oh, you know, it's annoying because we want to sort of see like PS5 only games, but it does really make sense because right now there's not a lot of PS5s out there. So I understand if you work super hard and you're like, well, we're only selling to like 1.5 million people or 2 million people, however many, it's like it makes sense. So I definitely agree. Like it will take a couple of years before we really see like the generational defining games and stuff. So.
But I mean, that I feel like that was always going to be the case, even if PlayStation 5 was available, due to the fact that they have like, what, 70 million PS4s or something ridiculous like that. It's a huge install base. There's no way that developers can afford to do that generational leap unless they're getting like specifically funded for that by Microsoft and Sony. There's no way that they're going to do that.
Also keep in mind that a lot of companies have transitioned to engines like Unreal. And I think Unreal 5 is supposed to be coming out for most developers this summer, early fall, I think they said. So if they're probably making their games on Unreal 4 and then just going to port it over to 5. So they're going to want a year to polish that stuff up because that'll probably have a lot of great improvements that they could take advantage of. So.
But before people lynch me in the comment sections, I didn't actually mean that. I think the current situation friggin' sucks. Like I'm not sitting out here trying to make fun of everybody. I wish everybody could get a PS5 if they wanted to, but yeah, it freaking
We're trying
sucks.
to poke fun at a horrible situation. Yeah.
Exactly. So while we're talking about consoles and stuff, I figured this is a good segue into my first topic, which is once again, the rumor mill is churning, and I think you guys already know what I'm bringing up. I can see Gaijin's face. So what do you guys think? You think this is the one that we're going to get the Switch Pro? We're going to get an announcement on the 15th of June?
Well, I mean, the tweet specifically says software in there, but there've been so many like announcements going around. I do genuinely think that like a Switch Pro, I mean, it's not even like a crazy assumption at this point. Like, you know, you look at the way that Nintendo operate their consoles, it's just the thing they do, right? And I don't think it's even remotely like crazy to assume that. And obviously, when you look at some of the games, you know, they're obviously pushing one of the biggest rumors is it's going to kind of launch alongside, you know, Breath of the Wild 2, because Breath of the Wild obviously ran fantastically on Switch, but there were still some areas where you got some frame drops and things like that because it was a huge scope game. So I definitely think, you know, if it might not be, it's definitely not going to be like comparable to the PS5, but it's going to be one of those things where if you can still get like, I don't know, 1080 handheld, or you can get like an upscale, because obviously you got, you know, like a means. Like good ways to sort of like upscale on console these days anyway. So if you have like an upscale dock option, I could definitely see it happening. And then like probably moving forward, they would just like push the Pro model and then just lean into the Switch Lite and then have those as like the two defining models probably. So I reckon we'll have it. I could see them dropping the announcement like before E3 so that like if people want to sort of like make their own announcements for their console, then they could do the same.
Yeah.
See, you are a believer. I keep thinking about this from like a marketing sales perspective. PS5s and Xboxes are not on the shelves. You can't buy anything. Switch is on the shelves and they're selling like hotcakes everywhere, especially Japan. So things are selling really good. Stock is up. They're going to sell a lot of Switches this holiday season, and there's good games. I don't see why they would announce, like, of course, the Switch Pro, like you said, Eric's like, it's going to happen.
Yeah.
Like they do this, like the 3DS had like tons of, you know, upgrades and little things and stuff. So, and they don't need to design a new system. It's a great system and the idea obviously works. So I still go with my working theory, which will be Zelda ain't coming out till next holiday season, and they'll launch Switch Pro next summer alongside Monster Hunter Rise Ultimate. It'll be its debut title like they did with the new 3DS. And that'll give them enough time to make enough units, because right now I think the semiconductor industry and everything is still having a lot of shortages. So I mean, we're barely even. I just got my HDMI 2.1 gaming monitor. Those are barely out in the world right now because there's just a shortage on tons of parts. So I don't see how during all of this they are going to scramble and put together a hardware revision and then jeopardize the entire momentum they have going into this holiday season. I just don't see it. If they do it, great. I just hope I can get one.
Yeah.
Or two or three. But you know, I don't expect it. But whenever it comes, I'm first in line. You better believe it.
Yeah.
If there's a line with a mask on.
I think all three of us are like first in line when it comes to just like getting a new Switch, because that console is.
However,
so good.
I gotta say though, the expectations people have for what an upgraded model is so ridiculous and dumb.
4K 60 FPS, dude. Nothing less is acceptable.
I'm like, if it just runs the current games that are 30 or struggling to get 30, if it runs them at 60,
yep,
that's all it needs to do. It doesn't, and it has a nice OLED on it. That's all it needs. I don't need anything else, and I don't think it could do anything else. I mean, the thing fits in your back pocket if you take the controllers off. It's small.
Yep.
So it's like thermal dynamic. What is it? The rules of thermodynamics in this house. It's like
people seem to forget that like even 3080s are probably struggling with some games to run at like 4K 60, and the 3080 alone is bigger than a Nintendo Switch. So.
That and Nintendo is not like making such a jump that they're going to encourage developers to take advantage of the new power. Like, no way. This is new 3DS all over again, I'm sure. They said there may be some exclusive new 3DS games, and guess how many came out? Like, barely any.
It was...
Because everyone knew, hey, everyone's got a regular 3DS, I'm going to make it so they can play it too, but if you want it smoother, you just play it on the new 3DS. Perfect.
But listen, the game that did come out was very important. It was Xenoblade Chronicles, okay? I love that game.
Oh, no. Monado Blade.
He knows about Xenoblade. Hell yeah! Oh no, it's because of Smash. It's because of Smash, isn't it?
I mean, it was that, but I also tried to play it, and I was like, look, right, I'm like, I can appreciate the people like it for different reasons, but I just couldn't connect with the characters. I couldn't.
People who like it fervently love it. It's a beloved title. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that
100%.
game.
Yeah.
That game's friggin' amazing.
Anyway, I'm like a kid in the elevator, like antsy. Like, are we there yet? I'm like so antsy to talk about Monster Hunter Rise at this point.
Yeah. Good, because I was about to transition us into that, and I was about to ask, so Eric, have you finally converted to the gun lance? Because I've converted Gaijin to the gun lance, and I think you're already pretty much on board. Have you become a gun lance main, sir?
What's a gun lance? Look on his face. I'll tell you honestly, right? I love the gun lance. It is a fantastic weapon. I will always have a special place in my heart. But I'll tell you, for the past updates, like basically since update 2.0, a sword and shield has not left my hand, apart from when I want a light bowgun. And let me be very clear.
The light hammer is so good. That's what I'm calling it.
The shield and sword.
So good. Yeah, the shield and sword. I've been playing that a lot as well. I don't blame you. Oh my gosh, is it good?
Well, at least you guys... I'm sorry, at least you guys are playing the second best weapon in the game, so carry on.
But we're generally using the one that doesn't even have a shield. We're using either the ninja sword, or I'm also using the rampage, and I transmogged it to Mizutsune, where all you get is like a bracelet, so you're still punching monsters. It's really cool.
That is true. The thing is, right? I do like honestly love I love the gun lance. Like, it's just like I can pick it up any time and have like a bunch of fun with it. But it's just that this happens to be in like any Monster Hunter game, right? Like I just always jump in, I test out all the weapons, I have a lot of fun with them, I get some good use time across pretty much all the weapons, and then I slowly just transition back to
your
where I want to where my roots are. I'm like, you know what? I just love the sword and shield. And yeah, apart from the bowgun, but like bowgun is just like the shady corner where I'm like, I'm just here because I want to farm something really quickly. Don't look at me. I'm gonna stand here and I want to use my Pierce build, and I'm just gonna like wreck this monster in 2 minutes, and then I'll be out.
Can I play a third person shooter? Can I have that? Thanks. Okay, I'm good.
I was like, I just need this material. I'll be back in 2 minutes. Okay, I'm done. Now let me get the sword and shield back on.
Oh man, I've been playing a lot of Sword and Shield myself, though. To be honest, with the Volstrax set, that is incredibly fun.
Oh yes,
dude, Volstrax set, and you get like some white sharpness on that Rampage Sword and Shield. You do a build around that, and it just feels so good. Level 3 protective polish, and just like smash every monster into oblivion. Feels great. Love it.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
But I tweeted about this, but I've been really, I mean, I'm sure we'll talk about it as a bigger topic, like talking about Valstrax and our thoughts, but like certain weapons feel really good against certain monsters. Oh my gosh, does Sword and Shield feel good against it? I don't know if he's just weak to getting hit in the face, but it's totally different than any. It's easily half the time than it takes me to hunt it with any other weapon. It's just absolutely fun.
I think with Valstrax, he's one of those monsters where like he's an interesting he's he's a lot easier to fight if you literally just stick to his leg. But like if you're medium distance or even further away, even when I was using bowgun, like his wingspan is just like really far. I'm like, you're trying to dodge. Like, no, I got you. Whereas like sword and shield, I'm like, I'm just gonna sit on your foot and you can't hit me. And I'm like, all right.
Yeah, I'm under your right foot. What are you gonna do? He can't see me.
Exactly. Yeah. And then if he's about to hit you, just like Metsu, like, okay, done.
Except I'm really he has that roar, and you're not able to use the Metsu against the roar, and I keep forgetting that, and I waste it a lot.
You can use it against the roar, but the interesting thing about the roar, so I noticed this with him as well, is that you have to bait for a while on a lot of monsters. It's very forgiving, where you feel like you can almost do it 360 degrees with him, but it seems like with him there's almost like a cone. You have to be in front of him for the roar to work. If you're under him, it won't work. But if you're in front, you can still get the perfect roar KO slam. Like you're knocked out at the beginning of the hunt, so yeah, it's just positioning wise with him. It's quite hard.
And here's an interesting thing that I feel like needs to be said for people that are maybe trying out Sword and Shield for the first time. You don't just have to use Metsu as a counter. You can just punch a monster in the face if you want to. It still deals a lot of KO damage. Like it's way cooler if you get the counter because it deals more damage.
Yeah.
But even just like I've gotten so many KOs by just the monster's down, he's about to get back up, Metsu in the face, boom, down again. Yep. It's so good.
It's a great wake up as well. It's like for Sword and Shield, it's your strongest wake up hit, and also like especially if you can like master the bomb tech, like just hit the bomb and go, poof, poof, then it's super cool.
Well, that doesn't work as well online though. There's something about the way that the servers talk. So when you do it solo, you can pull it off every time, but when you're online, you pull down the bombs and you try to hit it and counter it immediately. It just doesn't work sometimes. I don't know.
Yeah, my solution for like online for that is that like I will like the positioning on solo, you just like stand inside the bomb. When I'm online, I stand like a little bit behind the bomb, and it's normally just forgiving enough. But yeah, the one that I'm trying to master is like I can't do it as reliably, but the one that like where you throw the little bomb and then you like run underneath it and you do that. I can get it, but not all the time. So that's the fun one.
I've recently I was when I was testing out, I think it might have been the Volstrak set. The very first time I tested it, I was like, okay, so which monster am I going to test this on? And I was streaming. My chat was like, oh, do Apex Zinogre. And I was like, okay. So I go and I dunk Apex Zinogre out of the air twice. Ooh, with Metsu. Nice. It was so good, dude. Like when you see him coming out of the air and he's just like falling down, I'm like, yeah, getting knocked off. So good. That was amazing.
It's one of those moves that like even though a lot of the time just like the dunk is quite predictable with the Metsu because it's just so strong, but like every time it just feels awesome. There's some moves where you're like, all right, I've done this like so many times you kind of forget about it, but every Metsu dunk is just like, this feels so cool, man.
I don't know about you guys, but like I love the Metsu dunk. It does feel great, but there's something about the sound effects and the hit lag and just the way that they have the hard bash combo feels so good. It's like dopamine every time I hit the monster. It's like boom, boom, boom. It feels so good. It's
so true.
It's the problem that I had with Insect Glaive a little bit, but primarily Lance is you just don't have that weight behind it like you had in World. Man, do you got that weight with the hard basher combo? It feels so good. You could just give me those 3-4 moves, and I can do the entire hunt. I'll be fine.
That's basically all you need. Let's be honest. Like you've got like Sword and Shield is funny because it's got so many different combo hearts. But let's be honest, you're basically just forward A, X plus A, Metsu, done. Okay. Have a nice day.
That's pretty much what you're doing. Which I feel like they need to buff Perfect Rush a little bit because I don't see people using Perfect Rush at all. Like I use Perfect Rush as a follow up to Spinning Reaper. But it's like, I know it's not the most optimal thing to do, but it's like, it took me so long to master this goddamn move in Iceborne. You better believe I'm going to use it until the end of my goddamn life when I'm playing this weapon.
It just feels cool though. Like I still use it as like to go into when you're down and stuff. But yeah, it's definitely like hard. I think also it's just nice because for a long time, like if you think back to previous Monster Hunter games, if ever we were doing like tutorials, it'd be like, don't worry about the shield bash combo. It's a bit rubbish. Whereas now it's just like, use this. It is the best way to use the weapon. If you're not using it, have a nice day.
Try it out.
I remember like people would always call me out over the fact that I will actually use the 4th hit of the X combo on Sword and Shield, which is that small little shield bash.
The slow one, yeah.
Yeah, everybody would always be like, why would you use that? No, you just use X 3 times and then you go straight into the A combo. And I was like, I just like hitting things with my shield. Now everybody's hitting things with their shields all of a sudden. Right.
It is true.
Lance got the shield charge with the shield, so you can knock out monsters. But the gun lance has not yet gotten, I don't think, a shield aggressive move. It needs one.
I mean, you could almost argue Blast Dash is that. I mean, if they would just put an impact on Blast Dash so that you could actually just
that'd
just
be
the
great.
shield forward, like boom,
boom,
boom.
straight to the
That would be
face.
incredible.
That would be
You know
sweet.
what? You know what I'd like to see? I'd like to see an expansion on Blast Dash. A, that does that, and B, that lets you blast. Like if you got 3, if one lets you go up, the other one lets you go down, then you can literally mess with it. You go boom, boom, boom. Imagine that.
That would be awesome. So you charge into the monster, then you charge upwards, and then you charge downwards.
Yep. It would literally be like guaranteed KO every time. Yes, like do it. Look, like Capcom, if you're listening, put it in the next one. Put it in Ultimate.
That would be freaking awesome. But I think that I mean, I was about to say I think that might be a little bit much, but actually it's not. When you look at what some of the other weapons have gotten, it's really not.
No, exactly.
Okay, so another topic that I wanted to bring up because and I meant to bring this up at the start of the podcast. We're kind of like way into things now, but the reason I want to bring this up is because I feel like a lot of people still don't understand what an ultimate version is. Because for starters, I have people telling me, I don't want an ultimate version, I want an expansion like Iceborne. And I'm like, Iceborne was the ultimate version. It's like, the difference is that they made it as DLC, and I think that moving forward, they're always going to do that because it wouldn't make sense to go back. Like in previous games, we would get like the base game and then the ultimate version, and you would have to like buy the ultimate version again. But moving forward, I doubt they're doing that, and it's probably they'll have the ultimate version, which was the Master Edition for World and Iceborne. But we're also going to be getting like a DLC version of whatever they're going to end up calling Rise Ultimate because they're going to have a different name for it.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like also if like ultimately, I know people they're like I prefer it as a download, but like it doesn't really matter anyway because even when you got the ultimate version, you still move your save file over. So whether you're switching a cartridge, whether you're downloading it, like really, you're still getting the same thing. I think it's just a terminology thing. I think it kind of depends on what people have. Yeah.
I think it's a pricing thing, right? Like people just don't want to pay what they call full price for the DLC, and I don't think they will do that unless you just buy. If you don't have Rise, you'll be able to buy a version that has it both, which is great. Which will actually be cheaper if you waited a year, I guess. But yeah, I think we're in good territory.
Yeah,
but like base games, I was looking up my gameplay time for base games because I was really curious, right? Because I know we all play the living daylights out of Ultimate releases, and I actually think that Rise is going to end up overtaking the most I've ever played in base. Like I'm not a streamer, so like Monster Hunter World streamers, I know like played a lot of Monster Hunter World base because it was just like it's pretty much your job, I guess, right? Like that's what you do. You play and you interact with people. So if I was playing every day on the job, I would have a lot of play hours too. But for me, I think my top was Monster Hunter 4, which was Japan only. And I had 594 hours in that, which almost tripled when G came out, of course. But like I'm already at 460 now. So yeah, and that's not even including the demo. So that'll overtake it for sure. Like I'm really happy with this as a base game. It lays the perfect foundation for them to just go wild in Ultimate, and I can't wait to see what they do.
I've also.
Do
you guys usually put in a lot of time for base games, or do you play it moderately and then go crazy on Ultimate, or go crazy on both?
I mean, I sink a fair amount into both of them. Like obviously, I mean, World got I think base was about 700-800. But then like previous ones, it was kind of slightly different because obviously I used to import them as well. But then I would because of the release schedule, I would always import them at slightly different times. So then I'd spend more in Ultimate. But yeah, this one I'm closing on 400 hours for Rise as well. So I've been getting a bunch of fun out of it. I mean, it still is definitely like to date one of my favorite Monster Hunter games. Like it's not perfect. There are still some things that I think would be kind of cool to add and change and stuff. But I mean, like at least from a sheer fun factor, they've hit the nail on the head.
Yeah. Me on base World, which, I mean, before World, I didn't really get to play as much as I would like because my main game back then was like Souls. So I would always have to be playing Souls games and creating content around Souls. Yeah. And I would just kind of like play Monster Hunter off to the side, even though it's like, I really want to play more of this. But this game's so old by the time it gets here that nobody wants to watch content around it. So it's very hard. So World was the first one that gave me that. And World was just like 1,600 hours. Like that's how much I played World before Iceborne hit.
Ooh, yeah, I think with Iceborne combined, my save file has gone up to like nearly 1600 then. But that was I think World was like 8, 9, and then the rest was in Iceborne and stuff. But
Iceborne was like another 1,000 hours on top of those. So I'm sitting at like 2,600 hours on my PS4 save, because then there's also like, I don't know, probably 200 more hours on the PC side of things, give or take. So, PC was faster because I just picked up the Defender set and I was like, oh, watch me go brrrs through the whole game.
Yeah. True.
I thought I was gonna be stuck at like 400 hours because it's a console game, and I just, when you're working and living in Japan and you're commuting and all that kind of stuff, and you only get, a few hours a day to play. So the positive thing, if there ever was anything positive about the World situation, was the ability to work at home, which means I have some time in the morning before I do work. I have some time during lunch. I got some time when I would have been commuting. I can be playing at home. So I ended up going back to Iceborne after putting it away for months, and fell in love all over again and had a really good time. And I ended up getting about a little over 1,000 hours out of it. So I'm very happy with that.
Nice.
So while we're talking about because I'm like delaying the inevitable when we actually go into the content of 3.0, because I still want to bring up one more thing, and that is Stories 2. How hyped are you for Stories 2, Alex? Did you play Stories 1?
Yes. Yeah. I love Stories 1. Like, I played it, and then I also played it. Oh, okay. Yeah, no, it was such a fun game, because I played it in Japanese at first, which is funny because I played it and I was uploading a complete playthrough at one point, and that was the time when Capcom or they had the anime at the same time, and they were like, you should take all this down, everything. Otherwise they're gonna strike. So I was like, I'm taking this series down, I'm hiding this series. So that kind of slowed my process down. But then I also downloaded it on it actually plays really well on iPhone. So like I didn't do the second playthrough again, but I started playing through again on iPhone. I'm not normally one for like mobile games too much, but because of the nature of the gameplay, because like largely speaking, it's not like you need to be super reactive. Like you just, it plays quite well. But yeah, I'm so looking forward to it, and it's going to be the only I don't know what I've done to wind Capcom up. They took beards out of the game. They will never give me Laggy Acris. They'll never let me use Zamtrios. So I'm going to go to Monster Hunter Stories 2, where I can have Laggy and Zamtrios. That's it.
It's gonna be the place where they fulfill all our wishes, and then
exactly. Game of the year, because it's got Laggy. That's it.
No, you want to know why it's Game of the Year? Because Stories 2 brings the Gunlance.
Oh,
you didn't have Gunlance in Stories 1, and it brings Basil.
Yeah, Basil and Hunting Horn and Gammoth.
And Ryzex. Let's be honest, Ryzex is, Ryzex is the second best of the Fated 4.
Oh wait, that's the Japanese name. So Astalos, right?
Astalos, yeah. It's
I was like, what the hell are they talking about? I've never heard about this.
I was just thinking, like, it sounded so natural to me, and then I'm like, oh wait a second, that's the Japanese name.
Yeah, it's funny. Like when I think about those, because obviously I played, especially with like Generations. I did Cross and then Gen and then Double Cross, and so I used both names, but then I used them like interchangeably. Like I've always I'll use like Mizusune and I'll use Gammoth, but then I'll just use Ryzex and Glavenus or Dino Valdo. I swap them around. But yeah, Ryzex or Astalos are just like, it's a really cool monster that I feel like it was always the most underappreciated one, and for me it's number 2 in the Fated 4.
That boy better. They really should bring him back for Rise Ultimate.
Yeah,
he deserves the kit out of everybody. So
definitely.
I'll take Astalos. I liked Astalos. Astalos was fun. He was a really good.
Knock you hard and send you flying across the map into the other areas. He hits you so hard, you like do that tumbling motion as you flip backwards. It's so funny. It's like over dramatized. It's like watching wrestling on TV or something. It's so funny.
Yeah.
And he had the awesome like Kamen Rider armor, so had to happen.
So before we move forward, I do want to warn, because I don't want us to like hold back in regards to spoilers and stuff. So I want to make sure that people are aware at this point. We are going to be talking about the final boss. We are going to be talking about new maps and all of the monsters and pretty much every single thing in the game.
And everything, yeah.
So if there are still things that you haven't done and you would think that to be a spoiler, this is a good time for you to dip out and maybe come back later whenever you go do those things. So 2.0 has been through since we last spoke, Eric's, and then 3.0. And out of those things, What was your favorite thing so far? Let's start with 2.0. With 2.0, what'd you like most about 2.0?
The high ninja sword.
Oh,
it has to be done. I'm sorry, but they gave it to me. Like it's well. They also it's not even that. It's not even that it's so cool. It's also like a returning weapon. Haven't seen it for a very long time. I think it was Freedom Second. I think it was before, but like obviously it wasn't as good back then. But it just looks cool. It's a cool blade. The 100% affinity just means that I'm just so free to be like, you know what? I don't have to worry about all these crit skills that I normally have to try and gem in. So like, let me have a load of fun. But I mean, no, honestly, like 2.0 of the two updates, if I were to compare them, 2.0 is just definitely the best one because it's just it filled. I mean, obviously, you know, the nature of developing games right now in the current world climate and whatnot, like obviously it was stuff that was clearly supposed to be in the game at launch anyway, so it's kind of filled a lot of voids, but it just felt great because it was like, you know, it would have been nice to have had it at launch, sure, but like a month later they then like, oh, I got decorations for everything, suddenly okay cool, we can like fill out our armor sets, like, oh, we got some elders to farm, we got like loads of things, like it gave us so many more things to pursue. So as like a, you know, as an update and stuff, it was really, really cool. Like I like that. But yeah, definitely like the high, like, because once I got through the content, once I like, you know, fought the dragons and stuff, I was like, you know, I'll make the piece I need. But the high ninja sword, whew, that's the highlight.
It was funny because immediately after that update, I remember I jumped into Sox's lobby because he was playing multiplayer with someone. I don't know exactly who it was, and I saw that he had an open lobby, and I'm just gonna jump in there. And Sox is like this fisticuffs build that he's working on. And I'm just like, what the hell is he doing? And he's got the high ninja sword, and he's just doing stuff like he's putting guard on it so that he can do the counter, and then he's putting just like a ton of stun and doing all these crazy things. I'm like, what the hell is going on? But basically, while I was playing with him, the monsters would almost be like 100% KO'd all the goddamn time, and I was like, oh, this is great. Lots of full burst potential right here.
Definitely.
Update 2.0 was definitely the highlight for me. Was decorations. Like that was the motivation. Unlocking that many decorations and unlocking them to monsters is what I wanted to come back anyways. And they made it pretty severe. Like the cost for making decos is pretty high, which is good because it gives you a really good reason to go hunting. And so I went crazy making. I didn't do all 100%, but I think I made 97% of every deco. Like if there's 5 levels, I made 5 of them. If there's 3 levels, I have 3. I've got 7 critical eye decos. I've got almost everything in the game. And that meant that I could make anything. And that was incredibly liberating because, like, if you guys remember, like, back in, like, Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate or even 4 Ultimate, there'd be constant, like, oh, man, that's a cool set, but I can't make it. Oh, that's a cool set, but I can't make it. But because they borrowed, and at first I was leery about it, but they borrowed the idea of having a lot of skills versus minimal skills. So that was from World. That's worked out in its favor because everything's craftable. So now, like, you can do anything you want as long as you made the decos for it, and you have. I mean, I've got sets that I don't even care what's on the charm as long as it's got a level 3 and a level 2 slot. I'm good. You know, it's like the door is open and there's a lot of room for messing around. It's cool.
Yeah, there's
definitely.
There's a lot of stuff that was added with 2.0 that I thought was really, really cool. Personally, obviously,
you were really excited about. Let's just say you were really excited with the Chameleos Gunlance, right?
You're gonna do me dirty like that.
Jag. This is gonna be a running gag forever now. I never saw.
I was
such a perfect look of despair on his face. When I saw it on a live stream when he said,
saw the stream?
Let's go see it in the armory. Yeah, I saw that. I was on the stream lurking when I saw it. And he was like a little kid going into Willy Wonka's chocolate factory, went over, saw it, and then there wasn't even a dramatic, it just literally, the life just drained from his face, and he just sat there. Like, his soul had been, it was unbelievable. Like, his soul had been crushed, and he's just like, why? Is the first word he said, I think. It was so... I don't mean to laugh at you, but that was kind of funny. I've never seen that amount of disappointment in a person so well communicated in one word.
The thing was, right, so I go through 2.0 and I see all of the gun lances and I look at the Chameleos gun lance and I'm just like, I'm super disappointed because it only has long shelling level 3. And it's like, it's bad enough that most of the gun lances are long shelling level 4 when the maximum is 5. So that's already bad enough. But Chameleos has to go the extra mile to troll you because Chameleos is a troll monster, right? He steals stuff from you and whatnot. So he just has to go that extra mile and be like, here's this long shelling level 3 gun lance. And I was just like, what the hell? But then,
and then later on, you find out that the longsword is the best one is Chameleos.
Yeah, Chameleos' longsword is the best one. But that's not even it. So later on, still in 2.0 period, people are calling out to the point, it's like, hey, you know how these weapons have like a Roman numeral 1 in front of them? There's going to be an upgrade. So I just, during all of that time, I'm just like, it's okay. It's going to be upgraded. It's actually going to be good. And it's going to be all good. And then 3.0 rolls around. And I look at that thing and it's like, oh yeah, here's 10 more raw and long shelling level 3. And I was like,
it was only ever there. It was only ever there for the transmog, right?
And that's the other thing. It's ugly. It's one of the ugliest gun lances in the goddamn game. It's a bottle of cologne.
You'll find it in an antique shop, you know.
Well, it could be worse, right? It could be worse because the Chameleos sword and shield has embodied the full nature of Chameleos because it is not there. It's invisible. There is no. I went back and I was like, I did the same thing. I was like, oh yeah, Chameleos stuff. I was like, I remember this stuff looking super cool. So I wonder what they did for Sword and Shield this time. I was like, can't be right. Check the other list. I was like, okay, they've shown up. Go back to Sword and Shield list. I was like, I see how you're playing this. Okay, all right, never mind. I won't make it then.
That was me looking for the Teostra gun lance. I'm just like, I love blasts. Why no Teostra gun lance?
No, sorry, you've got enough blast. No, not allowed.
Yeah, there's too many explosions on my weapons apparently. But yeah,
exactly.
I think that again. I think 2.0 was an amazing update, and 2.0 actually surprised me because I expected 2.0 to be shorter and 3.0 to be bigger. So when I saw how big 2.0 was, my expectations went through the roof for 3.0. I was like, dude, 3.0 it's gonna bring like 6 monsters. It's gonna like bring tempered or a similar system like that. Like those are kind of my expectations. And then 3.0 hits and I was like, oh, this is actually not as much as I was expecting. Like I'm happy. I mean, we got more stuff, but this is not nearly as much as I was expecting.
Yeah.
Polar opposite here though. Like I saw 2.0, I'm like, okay, this is 2 updates in one. This is like the stuff that didn't make launch and this is the first update all squished together. 3.0 ain't gonna be that big. So I was in the good crowd when it came to expectations. So
yeah, I think everyone's. I think to be fair, I can understand why like a lot of people sort of felt that way because it was definitely. They definitely sort of. I mean, although they didn't necessarily imply it, like they hadn't sort of said like a plethora of monsters and stuff. It was still one of those things where it was very much like, oh, you know, we've got. It's not crazy to assume that like if you have an update that's got like a bunch of stuff. You know, it's not a kind of a crazy thing to like suddenly expect you might get a similar thing for the next one. So I do understand why a lot of people were like, oh, there isn't much to do in 3.0. So I can definitely get where people are coming from for that.
Yeah. But one of the ththings that we did get was, I mean, I guess we start by order. So one of the first things is they just straight up give you, oh, by the way, we found where Narwa and Ibushi are. So let's go fight Narwa and Ibushi. So what was your feelings on that particular fight, Eric's?
I mean, overall, I mean, it was cool. Like, it's cool in that, like, I enjoyed those fights because I just think visually they're very cool monsters. I do still wish, like, I was kind of hoping for some sort of Dragon Ball Fusion, very different monster. Not in the way that it happened. I was hoping for like I don't know, some like they combine and we're getting something that was just that behaves differently. Because let's be honest, what ultimately panned out was 3 fights that, yes, they do have their own unique mechanics, but are still in their own way quite comparable. It is kind of 3 versions of the same monster. There's enough difference here to have things that you have to learn differently, but I don't feel like they are different enough to kind of warrant them being like, oh, these are 3 drastically different monsters. So it was cool. Is it one of my favorite things? Definitely not. I do want to know who took their time to go and repair the floor in that arena so they could then break it again. Because there used to be a gaping hole there where somebody fell down. And then I go back and I'm like, there's no hole. So clearly these guys have been out here repairing the floor only for them to break it again. I feel sorry for that guy.
I didn't even think about that. Imagine just like the hunters, maybe it was the villagers of Kamura just like, okay guys, bring over some cement. We're going to fix this hole. It's not going to be a problem anymore.
Yep, and they're like, oh, not again.
Ibushi is so stupid. He can't even like. She's playing hide and go seek. She's like literally in the closet, like underneath the floor. He's, where is she? Where is she? he was not a deserving mate. I'm sorry. He is such a dolt, and he gets KO'd and stunned like crazy. He's weak as crap. Like I'm happy it played out the way it did. Like Ibushi does not. He deserved what he had it coming.
I feel like
And I like to think. I like to think that he after death is helping you. I think he's helping you get revenge.
he made her weaker.
Because he was done. He was done dirty. So if you notice, during her most important attacks, there's a little burst of wind in little ways that will help you.
Oh,
The burst of winds will actually take you out of the way of getting hit. I think what they were meant to do was to confuse you and make it hard for you to get close to her, but it ends up actually helping out. I'm like, it's the spirit of Ibushi saying, "Screw you, Narwhal."
you killed me.
for lunch.
I was kind of hoping that we would get like a solo Ibushi fight outside of the Rampage, because that is one of the monsters that we currently can't fight solo outside of a Rampage. So I'm hoping that is potentially something that they'll do, maybe like in an event quest or something like that. Oh, we found like another Ibushi or some
who's actually strong.
Yeah, that would be.
I
cool.
mean, I don't know about you guys, but we've done that fight so many times. I it's a 20 out of 10 for me, and that's because I was experiencing it with Yuna, and we were invested, and we did Narwhal over 100 times, and so we were screaming, jumping out of our seats. It was cinematic. We loved it, and she's already hit 100, I think, or she might hit. Oh no, she hit 50
All Mothers.
of the All Mother already.
Damn.
Yeah, she'll hit 100 soon, I'm sure. I've done probably 40 or 45. Like, she really loves the monster. We've got that thing down so bad that, like, we're not even using bow guns, so we're not, like, doing, like, Hame or headlocking, and we can kill Ibushi in, I think, 90 seconds every time. Like, he just can't move. So, it's really fun when you get the hang of it, and it's just, yeah, I adore the fight. Like, that was, to me, it was perfect, actually. I was kind of happy that it wasn't a completely new monster, even though a completely new monster would be totally sweet. I liked that they kept it still a confined story between those two. And that, I just find it really fun. And my new thing has been, we'll go into do the fight, and I'll pick a different weapon every time. And we always get the same clear time within the same 15 seconds. It's hilarious. Because right now our clear times, I believe, are, well, let's say they're in between 7 minutes and 55 seconds and 8 minutes and 10 seconds or so. It's almost every single time right there.
It takes me like 20 minutes to kill All Mother Narwhal. Jesus Christ.
Yuna can easily sub 10 solo it. I can get about an 8-minute, 20-second run myself. So it's quite fun, the two of us doing it together.
Nice.
But I liked it a lot. And I love how they did the armor. I thought that was super cool because, you know, it's like a callback to Atal Ka with the idea of doubling stuff, you know, like instead of doubling your talisman, it doubles your armor. It's poetic because it's the two intertwined, which kind of happened. I guess in that way, it's kind of erotic. It's the two of them combined. And I just think it works really well. It's not for every weapon, I realize, and it's not obviously the best set, but it is certainly a very comfortable set for certain weapons, which I think is cool, and it gives you great luck, which is great.
I'm just kind of sad that I feel like it's a really bad matchup for Gunlance. Like every time I go in there, I feel like it takes forever to kill her because just approaching and even just trying to engage, trying to do full bursts or whatever when the monster's just like floating in the air is a complete pain.
Yeah.
I'm assuming you guys are using ranged weapons like bows and stuff like that. No.
Either I either run sword and shield or I use bowgun.
I use a mix. So I use bow. Well, I'm using a lot of bow, but I'm also doing sword and shield. I've done gun lance several times actually against her, and I really enjoy it.
I'm surprised.
There's certain things like there's these. It reminds me of the original Narwhal fight where there's like these little things that you just start to pick up on. Like for example, we don't mount the monster unless it's Magnamalo. We actually take that as an opportunity to just pound the living heck out of Narwhal. So we don't mount. Or if I need to restock, we know when the monster's about to come in. We'll Farcaster out and quick restock before, so we could skip that whole cinematic and everything. But there was actually a video by a Japanese user, which was really nice. Is I was always curious whether when you first get down there, they're kind of circling around and you have the cannons and you could shoot at Narwa. And I was always curious whether or not that damage actually counted before the transformation. And it turns out that it does. So definitely go down there and just like shoot as much as you can and just. But I'm afraid to try to do that hunt online though. I imagine everybody dies to the spinning Dragonators. That reminds me about Talcott as well. Like once you get it down, it's like walking through like a revolving door at like a supermarket. Yeah. It's like most people are probably trying to do wirefall, which is a good way of to like easily just run into the wall 3 times and die. It's like nope, nope.
I've gotten killed by
it's
by
wirefall.
Fight. I've gotten killed by wirefall in Narwa quite a few times because she will juggle you.
Oh, yeah.
She'll just straight up juggle you.
Yep, 100%.
Yeah, Ibushi can do the same thing. So it's like if you get knocked in the air and you don't have a wire bug, like pull out your weapon, do something to change the pace of the fall. Otherwise, you're going to be flying for a while.
Yeah. But besides All Mother,
I like Ibushi's little air pockets though are so cool though. Have you done? Most people are just wailing on Ibushi, so they probably don't notice it. But he's got these little air pockets on both hands, his head, his tail, and his back. And if you break all the air bubbles, you get a special down, which lasts like forever. So we'll go in there, we'll paralyze him, we'll pound on him, we'll break some of them, we'll knock him out, and then we'll both be jumping in the air. Just we'll split it up, and we'll just break all those parts. And boom, we get another down. We can kill him before he even does his first storm attack. He's gone. And it's just it's a really fun little mechanic. But that it's just a little hard for certain weapons to reach the back. So like it's fun with another player, and you can strategize and do it. I don't know how many people actually notice that.
I've noticed that down, but usually it's just because I'm playing my support Gunland set, which is Eric's doesn't know about the support Gunlance, do you, Eric's?
I can't say I am, no.
So here's how it supports. I break all the parts in the monsters, and I permanently increase your hit zone damage.
I'll take it.
Yes. So he runs great. Gunlance with Part Breaker 3, and it's delicious.
It's so good, dude.
Oh, okay.
And it's like
amazing.
you can get like a Narwa Ibushi set going for the Gunlance that gives you anything that you want, with the exception of load shells and like some kind of sharpness management. But you can get load shells on a charm, and you can just get like long blue on the Rampage Gunlance, and it's like you're good. Whatever, doesn't matter. And then you just destroy everything. And on top of it, you get great luck. And you have like guard 5, guard up 3, everything that 3. You could possibly. You even
offensive
get focus for no reason.
Evade extender 3.
You can't get offensive guard if you want to get evade extender. That's the swap. You either get offensive guard
I forgot. That's
or
the
evade
swap.
extender.
Yeah.
You can't get both.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, it's. I think this. I was very concerned about the Narwa and Ibushi sets early on in the game, because I thought that they were going to be broken overpowered if they had all those skills. But when you think about it, it doesn't have attack boost, doesn't have critical eye, doesn't have Wex. So it's more like a super comfy set that you can make for a different amount of weapons, but it's more for comfort than anything else.
Put that baby on dual blades. I'm telling you, it is so comfortable. You won't care if it takes you 30 seconds longer for the hunt. It don't matter. You can what stamina? I don't know what you're talking about. Wait, I have to attack outside demon mode? No, I don't. Have you tried it? Have you guys tried it with the dual blades? It's so good.
Not yet. No.
Now with dual blades.
I was thinking about making a video. I was thinking about doing a video where I just kill monsters by dashing only, so no attacks. I thought that would be fun, because you get so much stamina. You can just in feral demon mode and do attacks. Be fun.
Be interesting to see how long it takes. I reckon that take a while, because it's be like the old days when like killing things with insects and stuff. So, but yeah, it could be fun.
The one thing that I've done with dual blades recently was a set specifically for Rampage, and let me just say, dual blades are broken for Rampages because the monsters are weaker, and you can get so many hits so fast that is just ridiculous. So I just made this. I don't even remember what the armor pieces were, but it's just like a set that's got the basic stuff like Wex, crit boost, and a bunch of poison, because you always have that objective in a lot of rampages, inflict status ailments. So
yeah, it's like instant.
I will guarantee you that I will get every single status ailment that you need in that hunt. And on top of it, if you are solo, when the gong goes away, you can kill any monster with 2 taps of a button. Like if you do what's it called? It's Demon Flight or whatever it is, the one where you just you spit. So you press one button for Demon Flight and he does like the jump up and he jumps on top of the monster. Press the button again and he goes like brrr, monster dead. Every single time. Any single monster that you want when you are in a rampage solo, you do that once, he's dead. And if you, for some reason, you miss 1 or 2 hits, you do that again and he's dead on the next one, 100%. I was just like, dude, when I killed a Basarios like that, I was just like, dude, this is not normal. Like, what the hell? Basarios is terrible hit zones. What is going on here? This is insane.
Yeah.
I was doing a rampage actually with Yuno where I was using that attack, and then I thought it would be fun also. We had 3 Anjanaths at the same gate, and I just started evading back left and right, and they just all died at once. It was like, what just happened? Did you just use the Wyvern cannon? I'm like, no. I used dual blades. They're weak to damage.
They're weak to damage. Dual blades are pretty beast for stuff like that and inflicting status elements and whatnot. So that's probably going to be my go-to rampage set for when I'm soloing, because setting up.
Have you tried Blast? Blast is really good for rampage because you can get like 2 or 3 status procs on every monster, just like. And so you get 50 points every time. So when I use it, we're usually at Stronghold level 10 before 3rd wave even starts. We're already level 10.
I didn't
because you keep getting 50 points every single time.
I didn't even think of Blast because of the fact that I get so little Blast procs with the Gunlance that I'm just like, dude, what is going on? So that's why I went for Poison, but I should try Blast, see if that works. That could be cool.
I use that with the Blast, Attack 3, and the Teostra level 2 bonus, which increases the proc as well. Like I will, like if we have like 8 status, we're done before even half of the first wave is done. It's already cleared. It's like done.
So besides All Mother Narwa, as we were talking about, we also got Volstrax, which was a returning monster. I was kind of surprised when they actually confirmed it, because like we talked about how that was a possibility because it was like in the scrolls or whatever, the things that you pick up, the relics, right?
Yeah.
Because it was mentioned there and whatnot. And then it's not only that, but it's also a variant, Crimson Glow Volstrax. And I was like, oh. So how'd you think about the new Volstrax, boy, Eric's?
I love it. Like I love that monster anyway. Like in Double Cross or like, you know, GU, like it was just such a fantastic monster to fight. It had the cool, like I've always loved the armor for it, because if anyone watches or has watched Tengen Toppa Gurren Lagann, the anime, like the armor, the chest piece specifically looks like Gurren Lagann's face. And there was also kind of a nod to that in GU anyway, because the quest was called something along the lines of like the dragon that pierces the heavens or something like that, which is like a line from Gurren Lagann basically. So it was kind of always a nod to it. So he was a fantastic monster. He was super cool. Honestly, I wouldn't necessarily have sort of seen outside of like the hints in the scrolls and stuff. Like I didn't necessarily think it wasn't one of the things that I initially thought they would have brought back, but I'm so glad they did. I love his new moves. Like his like Megaton laser beam is so, yeah, the Ishvalda one is so cool. Like he's just a super stylish monster. Like it's a really fun fight. And although content-wise 3.0 had fewer things, like he is definitely one of my favorite things to fight in the game. His armor, and the fact that he also, the reward was his armor is actually really good. It made it worth it.
Yeah,
I would say he is at the level of almost. I don't want to put him at the same level, but to me, like it feels like when Fatalis came to Iceborne, like he was the icing on the cake. Like I think he really topped it off. He hits like a truck. Great rewards for fighting him, and when you learn him, man, is it fun! Like it's just he's the superstar of the game.
It's interesting. There was so many Gunlance memes coming out right when we saw the trailer. People were going like, "Finally, a worthy opponent." Because of the blast dash, and he just like zooms around super fast. So everybody's going like, finally a worthy opponent for the Gunlance. It was so good. So that's something that I did a lot, was just like you would fly through, and I was just like, no, I'm flying right after, just like blast dash right in there as well. But one of the coolest things that me and Gaijin found about Volstrax was when we were just playing, And we were doing that advanced quest that includes Volstrax and Rock Nikodaki. And Yuna says, let's go kill Rock Nikodaki first. And Volstrax ambushed. He wasn't with us, so he ambushed from a different area into our area. And that was amazing because we didn't even know he could do that. He just like comes out of nowhere. And I remember Gaijin going like, ambush? Because you see it on the screen. Because at the start, the first time you see it, you're wondering, why are they telling you that he's ambushing? Like, we're fighting him. We can see that he's in the sky.
Watch out, watch out.
We know. But then suddenly we're fighting another monster. We just see ambush. We're like, what? Boom.
Damn, that's crazy.
Kadaki took it on the chin, man. Like it was like 250 damage. That's it. I'm like, how'd you do that?
It was just 50 damage, actually.
Must be nice.
I think it was just 50 damage. Oh, so good.
But no, I mean, that fight, oh man, it's so good. There's something I was going to say about that fight and I completely forgot, but it feels different enough from the original Valstrax. I think that it's the perfect deviant. It reminds me of almost like Hellblade Glavenus. Like that was a really good deviant, and this is a really good deviant. So.
I found it interesting because I've seen some people say, "Oh, it's basically reskinned Valstrax," and I'm like, "What? What are you talking about? Like, are we fighting the same monster? Like, what's going on here?" I'm actually curious. Have you tried Metsu the ambush, Eric's?
I have not yet. No.
I'm curious.
I probably should try that.
I haven't tried it either. I know that I saw a clip from Ramez, and Ramez was trying to do the wirebook counter from the longsword. Doesn't seem like that works because he got killed.
Would you need guard up in order to do that?
I don't know.
Not from.
I don't think you can block it with guard up. I've tried blocking it.
No.
Oh, you can't.
I can't even guard it.
Actually, no. Maybe it's true because that's what Sox put on his build when he did Metsu. Because then you can, if you have guard up, you can Metsu laser beams and things like that as well. So maybe, possibly, yeah. But like the longsword one, like it's definitely doable. Sometimes it's just a positioning thing. Like the clip might have just been like bad positioning because some people have sort of tried to do like the counter, even just like the regular counter, and then they get completely destroyed. But I've seen people successfully do it. So sometimes, much like with the raw, like there's like probably a sweet spot you need to be standing in. So I wouldn't know necessarily.
I just got a good idea actually. One of the things that I've been doing a lot, and Eunice saw me do it, and she started laughing really hard, is when I notice he's charging up and he's about to leave the area, I will very quickly put away my weapon and swap over to Mega Barrel Bombs. And the second I see ambush pop up that he's going to do an ambush, you have just enough time to place 2 Mega Barrel Bombs and then quick do a Superman dive and he'll run right into the bombs. It reminds me of Nibble Snarf, where he'll jump up and fight the bombs.
Yeah.
So now I'm thinking, because the timing's so tight, if you just place 1 bomb and then you do the counter, that probably will trigger the counter before you even get hit by him. So maybe you'll be invincible through the counter and you'll be able to hit him anyways.
I don't know.
You're giving me something to try.
I don't know because I don't think you're invincible for very long because I've Metsu a Gosarag when he's doing his spinning attack. And so I counter this first move and then he killed me. So I don't know if that's going to work.
Invulnerability up until the point. Yeah. It's kind of like with Rage Slash, right? It's like you're invulnerable up until you let the hit out and then you can get slapped.
Then anything goes.
Okay, I got to mention this before I forget it because it's so random. There is a use for Leap of Faith. I don't know if you guys have noticed this one. This is really fun. So if you have like 1 extra slot on your armor and you don't know what to do with the level 1 slot, if you're fighting Allmother and you put on Leap of Faith, because she vacuum sucks you in during the Dragonator kind of part, all you have to do is do an evade and she'll suck you right underneath her and you're safe the entire time.
Really?
You don't take any damage. You don't take damage from the spikes. You don't take damage from the blast.
You super dive through the spikes, basically.
Huh. Yeah, it's so great. It's really fun to do.
That's cool. That's pretty fun.
Yeah, I put it on because I wasn't sure if it mattered which direction you do the Superman when Valstrax comes at you, and I just said I didn't want to worry about it, so I put on Leap of Faith for the heck of it. And then when I did it during a Naro fight, it sucks you in. Like if you start trying to make meat. She'll suck you in as you're cooking meat. It's really funny.
Yeah. Oh, really?
And yeah, me and Yuna were trying to get a clip of us doing it, but not getting hit, but we weren't able to pull it off.
going through the friggin' Dragonators while cooking meat.
That is brilliant. That's the ultimate flex.
Sorry, a random thing, but I thought it was funny.
Speaking of cooking meat, though, I realized the other day that Rise doesn't actually teach people how to cook meat. Like, I have a friend of mine that I've introduced to Monster Hunter through Monster Hunter Rise, and he's got over 180 hours in. And I don't know, I think it was 2 days ago or something. I was like, hey, dude, I got to teach you how to cook meat just so that you know. It's not important, but just so that you know that this is.
Yeah.
So I went into the training area and it was like, oh, this is really cool. And I'm like, yeah, exactly. The game doesn't even tell you about it. It's fun stuff.
Sure. So yeah, there's I think there's a lot of things that are just kind of like legacy that, I mean, you know, over the years, it's interesting, like looking back over the years, like Monster Hunter has got better at teaching you how to play the game. You know, back in the day, it was just like, go.
Yeah,
hunt.
Okay, go and hunt.
But there's definitely always, like, you know, there's still a lot of stuff that just goes unexplained and stuff. So yeah.
So besides Volstrax, they also added a couple of new hunts and new maps, more challenging hunts. We've had obviously the Apexes outside of Rampage. How do you feel about Apex Diablos?
I like it. I mean, let's be like, you know, all the Apexes are essentially just like the Deviants coming back, right? They're just not calling them those things. So like, I always like those fights, and like, I love Bloodbath Diablos. I just really wish. The thing with the Apex is, like, I think they're cool fights. I just genuinely wish that they actually, outside of getting Lazarite jewels, I just genuinely wish they actually had like a use. Like, they are essentially the Deviants. Just give us the Deviant armors. Like, I wish we could farm Apex like, you know, Diablos, Apex like Rathalos armor sets, because it would just be give us something else to farm anyway. Whether they decide to do that at some point as like an update, that would be really cool, because I'd like to see it. But I love the fight. Like, I genuinely love the fights. I just feel like, you know, a lot of those ones, short of just like hunting it to be like, oh, it's fun, they're kind of a bit pointless.
I mean, I'm just happy to hunt them outside of the Rampage, because it gives you a challenge and just something to strive for. The point that I was trying to make with Apex is that both me and Gadget feel like they neutered Diablos. Like, he's so weak. Apex compared to like Bloodbath. Like, Bloodbath was challenging. Bloodbath would hit hard and would one-hit KO people. And it just feels on the complete opposite side, Apex Diablos feels like a little baby Rage Diablos. Like, yeah, he's really mad and he's really fast, but he doesn't really hit that hard.
Yeah, they're not as scary. I mean, yeah, like, to be honest, like, the Apexes are cool, but none of them feel, or at least to me, like, none of them feel like they are as kind of threatening as they were before. Like, I mean, okay, Apex and Ogre, if he catches you off guard, will kind of slap you around a little bit. But once you learn them, they are definitely like Deviant Light sort of thing to a degree.
Yeah, they're way weaker. I feel like even in base generations, Deviants were harder. Am I wrong there? Am I just like misremembering that?
They definitely hit hard, especially if you go to like the higher level ones. Once you get the higher tickets, like the first couple ones were kind of easy, but once you start getting those higher tickets, they would slap you around. Like, even like Apex Azeroth. I mean, not Deviant Azeroth.
Yeah.
Yeah, they didn't label it as such, but like the first 3 levels are high rank versions of them, and then from I think 4 and 5 are G rank or master rank versions, and then the EX one.
Yeah.
Or whatever, it goes up.
But besides those Apexes, we also got that new map. What did you think about the new map?
I thought it was really cool. I mean, it was definitely like a cool surprise. I hope, like, again, you know, looking at the roadmap, obviously, you know, it looks a little bit like, I'm sure they'll expand on that and stuff, but at the moment we haven't necessarily got too many like big additions to look forward to, but I just hope they do more with that map, because I think it's really cool. Like, because I was kind of, you know, the usual thing, like, all right, an update's come down, like, okay, cool, there's some new quests, let's just complete them to see if we get something. I do wish that upon completing all the advanced quests, we actually got something, because again, this is all about the kind of the precedent of like, oh, update 2.0, you know, gave us loads of new monsters, and also like, oh, you got the ninja sword, or you got some other quests you could do. So I was like, all right, surely doing all these advanced quests, surely I'll get something. And like, hey, you got a new medal for your guild card. I'm like, thanks. But that being said, the map is really cool. Like, I think as an arena map, it just looks really cool. I love the thematic, sort of like the aesthetic of basically where you fight like Ibushi and Nawa anyway. So the map that is effectively set in that kind of locale, I think it's just cool. It looks really nice. So yeah, I just hope they do more with it, and actually give us something to earn.
some turn through map. That seems to be a general complaint with 3.0. That's one of the things that I've seen a lot. I've been made a video explaining to people like, look, this is not a live service game. This is not something that you're going to get a battle pass. This has always been a game, particularly the base games, that is intended with a beginning, a middle, and an end. And I kind of feel like we're not at the end yet, but we're at the end for a while. Like for a while, this is what we're going to get. Like I think that after August or whatever, they might do like maybe one more big update before they're just kind of like, okay, this is the update. This is the stuff. The biggest thing that I wish for was better events. I feel like they really messed up on the event front because we got way better stuff with Monster Hunter World. The events were way better. But, besides that, like I think overall, I think it's pretty solid experience, but people with 3.0 have been extremely negative. Like I've seen a lot of negativity online. Like what do you think about that?
Well, the thing is, I mean, it's like it depends on like the position you're coming from. Like Update 3.0, like it's free content. The content of Update 3.0 was fantastic, but I think again, like it's all about there's a certain degree of on like both sides. Like obviously, Capcom didn't necessarily say, hey, 3.0's got a plethora of monsters, so there was nothing to sort of say, oh, we should assume it will be the same caliber as 2.0. But on the flip side, there was also nothing to imply that it couldn't have been. So I feel like sometimes when you set a precedent of like, oh, this is what this is what we've done already, people will be like, well, surely you've got even more time. There'll be even more stuff. So I don't think it's remotely wrong for people to sort of have played 3.0 and been like, oh, I'm super excited. I'm loving the game right now. I think also the thing with the game is like if you look at the timeline for updates, right, 2.0 was fantastic. It's like, all right, we've got elders to fight. We can now craft all the decorations. So suddenly we've got a big pursuit. We're like, great, we can go through. Like guys, and you were obviously saying that you've got now made all the decorations, which is great. But then obviously you kind of get to the point where like, all right, I've made all the decos I need. So that's now no longer a pursuit for me. So people are probably thinking, all right, what's 3.0 going to give me that's now going to give me a reason to play again? And short of obviously just like playing to then get some materials to throw into stuff to hope you can get the charms, which honestly isn't the most fun thing to do. There's definitely, it's kind of got to the point where I feel like people are just like, I want more stuff to do. And okay, yeah, the fun of just hunting Valstrats, the fun of making gear, the fun of doing that stuff is fine. But I can understand where it's coming from for people because there's probably that finite nature where people have, at this point in the game's life cycle, they've probably crafted a lot of the armor they want, crafted a lot of the weapons they want, crafted a lot of the decorations they've wanted, and therefore they're just like, now, short of just playing the game, which is fine, that's what you used to do in old school Monster Hunter games, but short of just playing the game, there isn't really anything to do. Whereas at least, I know not everyone was a huge fan of everything World did, but at least in World, you're like, oh, I've got investigations, or I can farm temper monsters, which would then give me a means to, like, everyone might not be a fan of like the decoration system, but one thing that the decoration system did do was it gave you a continual reason to grind. So I feel like one simple fix they should just do moving forward is like, oh, give us some quests. Like, if you put it so that when you defeat Apex monsters, you get charms as rewards, that would be fun. Because now I can farm them outside of just like, let me throw stuff into a melting pot and hope, and then I go back and I get rubbish charms. And once again, this is not a fun experience. So I can definitely understand where some of that animosity has come from. I still think the game is fantastic. It's still my favorite Monster Hunter game. I still love it. But I am even at a place myself where I'm like, I'm still playing it, but I'm not playing it. I don't have to play it every single day now. Like I can now just jump in, do what I need to do, and then there's not the same drive. If you see what I mean?
Yeah. Gaijin, how do you feel about Eric's response? Because I know you probably have some strong feelings about that.
Well, I think what you're saying has a lot of truth behind it. I think the way I'm looking at it is probably from just a slightly different angle, like a different perspective. So for me, like, and it differs. I guess the perspective is like in Monster Hunter World, you could do hunts to get a random drop of a deco, and it was good or it was trash, and that was it. Is that really that different mechanically from using materials from the last hunt you did, throw them in the pot, go do any hunt you want? It doesn't have to be a specific group of like 6 or 7 monsters over and over again, or just the same Zinogre over and over again. You can hunt anything you want, have fun, come back, you get some charms as a result. It's mechanically the exact same thing you're doing. You do a hunt, you get a few as a reward. I could see where giving it on a reward screen would feel more connected. So you feel like, oh, I'm getting this from doing the quest, but you still are. You are using monster parts to spin this thing. So I think It's a difference of how it hits you, I think. But I think mechanically it's identical. It's just presentation difference. And I don't know. I just maybe because I played so much of 3 Ultimate, I never expected the chase to be something that continued forever. Like I think there hits a point where when you put in 200-300 hours, it's okay to say you beat the game. Like it's done. You can continue playing it because it's fun, but there doesn't have to be something to chase. Like I never got into the guild quest system, so I have some bias here. Like I don't want there to be a broken weapon that I might get or I may not get, and I only have to fight Rajags and Shagaru Magaras over and over and over and over again. That felt a little boring. Tempered, it was the same deal. You're just doing the same things over and over again, hoping for a good deco. Unfortunately, those were really integral to making sets to try out concepts for fighting, where I feel this time, because you can craft all the decorations except for the bow one, you know, you're not locked out of content. And maybe that's where, like you were saying, maybe that's why it feels empty, is because there's no need for the decos. Like I don't need that guard up skill because I could just craft it. Where World had the bad side, which is I can play for 1,000 hours and I still don't have it. So it's like
True.
both have their issues. They're not perfect. You know, I think there's some room to improve, but I actually like the fact that I feel like I beat the game. Like once I transmog all the armor, once I buy all the weapons, I play all 14 weapons, so that helps as well. Like if someone's only playing a few weapons, their lifespan of the game will definitely be shorter. And that's not their fault. But the game, I think, even for a single weapon user, has enough content on there compared to most video games that it's like, that was a cool experience. So I'm actually fine with where we're at, and I loved 3.0. And I like that I'm not being forced to chase things that should be given to me. But so now I'm having fun with experimenting with different mixed sets. Rampage weapons I find really interesting because the hunts are not overly long. Usually, I think if you have a monster down, you'd finish the hunt in like 10 minutes, I think is a good, 10, 15 minutes for a hunt. So, the difference between a truly meta set and a comfy, weird, fun set in the hands of a casual player, you're talking a difference of like a minute or something. In the hands of a pro, yeah, like that becomes a huge difference. But I just find lots of reasons to goof around now. It's really fun. So
yeah, there's definitely.
I think we're seeing the same thing. It's just perspective.
Yeah, but I think 100%. I mean, there's definitely still plenty of fun to be had, and that's the thing as well. Like I completely agree. Like, I completely agree. There's no need to always have to like continue to play the game. I mean, obviously, I've same kind of point. Like, I've been playing since like Freedom Second. I'm used to kind of like getting to a finite point and be like, I'm done, which is fine.
Yeah.
But I do think, I do think there's never anything wrong with giving people that do want to be able to play for longer reason. And again, it's not in a live service manner because it's never been a live service game. But I do still think, like kind of going back to the decoration thing, while true, it is not the decoration, sorry, the reward thing. While true, mechanically, it is very similar. The additional step is kind of what creates the disconnect for a lot of people, because if it's like I just go on a quest, I don't think about it, and I already get the rewards, it's like, oh, suddenly I feel special for this. Whereas if it's like I went on a quest, oh no, I forgot to put some materials in the thing, so now I come back and I get nothing. That one step, while mechanically is very similar, that one step between it is what removes the kind of instant gratification. So that's where a lot of people are like, oh, because even though I completely get what you're saying, because even if you had a melting pot before, like you could just be like, well, I'm still getting the rewards. But I think even it goes a long way just to remove that one step and say, hey, I fought Apex and Ogre. Ooh, I got 4 charms. It's just that one less barrier. So I think that much is definitely important. And yeah, I think even so, like, I'm perfectly happy because I spent my time, like tons of time playing actual games as a service. And I'm like, sometimes it gets exhausting where you're like, I don't want to have to feel like I have to play this all the time. So it's nice to be able to sort of dial back, but I do think it could go a long way quite simply just giving just adding in some sort of tempered or investigation system that, at least for people that, because also everyone consumes games differently. Some people will buy like games all the time, and some people will be like, this is my game that needs to last me for the rest of the year. And I'm like, I think if you're in a position where you want to be able to play the game like that, having a system where you're like, oh, you know what, I can just go in and like do a quest to get some charms, or I can go in and do an investigation, and it gives me a means to continually play. Then I think it's nice, because then you kind of got the balance where, like, if you feel like you want to just sort of like slow down, put it down and think I've done everything, that's cool. But then for people that do want to continue to play, it kind of gives them something. So I think there's a happy middle ground.
It's tough though, right? Like, because I love your idea about Apex paying out like decos or something as a small perk. But then I think we also, it ultimately runs into the same problem, because I think what you're doing is you're creating a chase when there is none. You're creating a a live service drip when there is none. It's because at that point, then when you finish doing everything, then you have no reason to fight anything but apexes, right? And so then you're going to be fighting the same 6 monsters over and over again, because why would I hunt another monster? It can't give me a deco like these ones do, and I don't need any monster parts. And so psychologically, you start pushing people to only playing the same monsters over and over, and then they're like, this game is dry of content. You can give me a new monster with new sets and weapons. We'll grind it out in one day. We'll be done with it in the weekend. So like that, the actual content is not going to last. Like, you cannot keep up with players the way we consume
no,
these
of
things.
course,
It's
no,
impossible.
100%. Yeah.
I feel like particularly nowadays, more so than ever, that the gaming community kind of like consumes games even more than they play them. Like there's a difference, I feel like, between playing the game and consuming a game. And I think that a lot of the things that we're doing nowadays is consuming games. Like we go through games super fast and we just do all of the things, which is good. I mean, so long as people are having fun with it, I think that's fantastic. But it's like, I think that there was downsides to the system that World had. One of the things that I did like, though, was a little bit of the randomness of investigations, because it added, it gave you reasons to fight maybe different monsters that you wouldn't consider before. Maybe it's like, oh, I need some more Zenny, so you go and you take on like a 3 monster quest and you take the Bandit Mantle or something like that and just get a bunch of shiny drops and get some Zenny. And there were other aspects of the investigation that were interesting. Like for me, sometimes when I was streaming, I was like, "Hey guys, I saved up this quest with a tempered Rajang and a tempered just like a bunch of tempered nasty stuff." It's like, "Hey, let's go do this quest. It'll be fun." So you'd have crazy things.
That's why I think they dropped the ball with the event quest. I think that could have replaced that in a way, because that is a really good point. I mean, that's a great point, and it's a good point. Is that it's just a different layout. It's like, okay, this one might be tricky to do without carding because we're only allowed 1 card, or this one only allows 2 cards. That was a cool idea.
Yeah. So
I didn't necessarily like the fact that they bloated the rates so that gems became trivial, but the idea of having variety is great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, to expand on it, although like my previous mention, I was sort of like tying them to Apex. It doesn't have to specifically be Apexes. I think the chase was more so like, to your point, like, the investigations work really nicely. Maybe they could develop a system where they're like, hey, we've given you this cool new map, and then and now you've got investigations where it's randomly generated, and like today you're like, or in this random generation you're fighting an Izuchi and a Rathian and like a Valstrax, and then that is what gives you like some kind of reward. So like, I definitely agree with you that if you tie things to a select few, because it's what we had in World, where for a while we were just fighting the Elders, right? So you don't want to tie it to select few. You just want to have a means to pursue some kind of reward, basically.
So, I mean, we could mix the ideas all together, both yours and Rudy's idea and my idea, and say, why don't we have it where when you select a quest, once you've beaten the game, you're allowed to fudge with certain controls, like how many feints can I have, what's my time limit, and as you fudge them, it'll open up decoration slots that you can earn at the end of the quest.
Or
if
charm.
You change
or
2
slots.
things, it ends or that. That's what I mean. Did I say decorations again?
You've been saying decos the whole time.
I'm sorry, I keep doing this, but you'll get talisman slots, and the harder the monster, the higher the rarity. But the more you make the quest harder, you might get 2, you might get 3, and that could be ultimately what saves the variation. I think we still need a way to randomize a little bit what monsters appear, but I think that could be fun.
And then another thing that I feel like could have gone a long way to increasing the longevity is what they did with Basilgoose in this game, which is when you fight Basilgoose, it's always a random map. Like if I want to fight Apex Rathian, it's the Flooded Forest. Actually, I'm going to start calling it the Brown Forest. It's too brown, that map. I'm so tired of that map. I'm sorry.
Why does Valstrax have to be so far away? I hate running to him. He's so far away. He starts right at the pyramid, and there's there's no quick way to get there except to ride Rajang, so I just do that.
But Valstrax is another one that goes to random places. So you can fight him in the Flooded Forest, or you can fight him in the lava caverns. You can get a bunch of different stuff. So I wish more monsters had that map variation as well. Like, I think that would have been cool. So that you don't always fight Almudron in friggin' Flooded Forest as well. Like, what I'm saying is a lot of the monsters that I need to grind are in the Flooded Forest. I'm getting tired of the Brown Forest.
Okay? Yeah, I hear you, definitely.
But I do really like Eric's idea because Eric's idea is easy to implement, I feel like, of just getting like bonus charms for apexes. But it does create that problem that we had in World where everyone was fighting tier 3 tempered monsters, which, you know, it is what it is. Everybody was hunting for those because those would drop the best decos. And I was not a huge fan of the deco grind because the deco grind had so many problems. I would constantly deco grind hoping for a critical eye +4 deco. And guess what? 2,600 hours of gameplay later, it never dropped. Although I guess only 1,000 hours count because those were the hours I played Iceborne. I never got it. I didn't even get it when I made a video warning people about it because I forgot to save the game before I exited when I got that thing. So, so it's like I can see both things.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, there's definitely flaws to both systems. Like 100%. Like the decoration system 100% was not perfect in World because obviously it had multiple points of failure. Because if you don't have umpteen decorations, you're quite limited. But it did, of course, give people for the people that wanted it. It might not have been the most enjoyable, but it gave people a means to kind of check back. But also the charm system in and of itself still isn't perfect because even now, like the charms can be quite drastic. So that there are certain things that you just can't do without them. It might not be as crazy as being like, all right, I haven't got any attack decorations and critical decorations and this and this and this. You can make a lot of it, but still, like being constantly going back and be like, this charm, like how many times have I seen like I don't know Hornmaestro on my charm when I don't want this, like there are definitely some charms that are quite literally like set defining. So you still experience that maybe to a lesser degree, but there's definitely still that frustration. And because in Rise, your literal only way to do it is through just like melding, it can just get a bit like annoying for people, I think.
So, but it's like I think it'd be cool. One of the things that I would like to see as well is more apexes. Like me and a friend of mine constantly joke about this idea of like, imagine an apex Great Azuchi, and he would have two Great Azuchis as his like two little buddies that would attack you, and then they would have two normal Azuchis. It'd just be like
that would be so cool.
A massive amount of Azuchis. But it's like it'd be cool to get more apexes, even of lesser monsters, because I feel like lesser monsters tend to get left in the wayside when you start moving up, right? So like, there's not that many reasons to hunt the Tronodon. They made a challenge quest out of him, but I wouldn't really call that a challenge. It's like, come on. That quest was a joke. So if we had more apex monsters, just spruce up their health a little bit, maybe I don't know, but just something similar to a tempered system that gave you more challenge. So like what they did with some of the newer hunts with the challenge hunts, that was awesome. Like I just kind of want more of that, more of the challenge side of things. Give us monsters that hit harder, and maybe with the added bonus that, like for instance, for the advanced quests, you could also get charms. I think that is a good idea because that way you could combine both things. You could have like even weaker monsters in advanced quests that also gave you charms and didn't really give you that limiting factor of just like, okay, you have to fight these 3 monsters because they give you the best rewards. But I do think the idea of getting charms from some of the harder quests is a really, really, really good one. But anyway,
you could take it. You could take it another way. You can have it so, let's say you take on a high rank quest and you can choose to make it advanced or not. And if you switch on the advanced one, then it bloats the attack power and the health of the monster, and that's what opens up the talisman rewards.
That would actually be awesome as well. See, Capcom, we're giving you gold here. That would also
solve the difficulty. Yeah,
I need to timestamp this part of the video and just like send it to Capcom.
There you go. Have it. Give us this.
Just give us this. But as I was about to say, the downside of recording early in Thursday mornings is that our time slot is a little bit more limited. But I do have one last question, which I'm sure that a lot of people have been probably hounding you by. Eric's, where's the rest of the weapon workshops, man?
It's a busy time, man. It's been they take a long time, and it's also just trying to sort of like, as the thing when you're creating content, it's trying to just juggle what people actually want at the time. Like, obviously, it's a nice thing to make, but when updates come out, people are like, I'm actually more, I think it actually kind of quite helped that a lot of Rise's stuff was grounded in world combat, so people had a somewhat of familiarity with how to play the game. So there was an element where people were like, I'd actually much rather know about this new armor or this new thing. So it's just kind of trying to juggle priorities. And as we get close to E3 and then trying to juggle what's on Mondays, it gets kind of crazy sometimes. So I'm not sure just yet.
The production values of your videos is just like stuff that would look great on TV. So yeah,
Appreciate that.
but
What is TV anymore, right?
yeah, exactly. We don't really watch it. But that is going to be.
So I have to ask a question.
Go ahead.
Sorry. Before we close, I have one question. There's one question I wanted to ask because I'm very curious. Now that we have what is probably the breath of all the monsters, at least for a long time, who is your favorite monster? If you have
In Rise.
In Rise. In Rise. All factors considering, we don't care about battle, armor, gear, music, whatever. I don't anything.
If it's actually, if I had to pick one, I think I would still pick Gosharag. I just really like him. I think he's a really cool monster. I love like the way he fights. I love how ominous he is when he kind of like walks towards you. He might not be the biggest challenge, but he's still a damn cool monster. So yeah, that's me.
How do you feel about the fact that me and we love him as well, and we nickname him Grandpa? I don't know why, but he just looks like an old man just running around and gets all upset and throws stuff at you.
Someone needs to do a fan art of a Grandpa version where instead of an ice blade, he's got an ice walking stick. And he's just like, get off my lawn, hunters!
We should get a Japanese version where he takes like the little circular table and flips it over.
One hand is a table, one hand is a walking stick. Like,
Oji-san.
How about you? Are you still in love with Tetranodon, or do you have a new favorite?
I mean, it's like Basil was my favorite, right? But it's like, I don't know. I've been really loving seeing Volstrax, particularly the new version where you can like hover in the air and then just like slam at you and whatnot and ambush you out of nowhere. I don't know. Volstrax is getting up there. So it's kind of between those two, Basilgoose and Volstrax. And I think right now Volstrax is winning because on top of it, Volstrax also has a fantastic set this time around. Like you can use Volstrax set with literally any weapon. Like people are like, you're crazy. Now, I'm using Volstrax set with Gunlance and it's amazing. So it's like, you get so many resistances. You're basically invincible for most damage. It's insane. So yeah,
I need to make a follow-up video telling everybody to be careful about the healing hunting horns and you know, don't be surprised if you start bringing that thing into hunts with people wearing Volstrax. They may not be very happy with you.
I think people just need to look at Volstrax as more of either like a pre-made group where you know what your team is doing or a solo type thing, because you can't just go into a random hunt and expect people not to heal you when your health is down. Like that's not how things work.
It's funny though when you say that, right? It's like when you want someone to heal you, they're like, what is life powder? And when you're like, please don't heal me, they're like, I see you have lost 20% of your health. I got you.
Exactly.
That's why on my Volstrax set, it doesn't quite do how like handle the damage portion of it, but I also just for fun because I just love the skill, I threw Max Hellblight on my one as well. So then I've like got another way to proc Resentment anyway, just as like a fun thing on the side. So I've just I use it as free knockdown. So it doesn't obviously handle the damage side of things, but at least it's just like another thing, and it's just it's just fun basically.
Yeah,
I have one set with was it Counter-Strike 3, and then I bumped Resentment up to 5. So it's the Unga Bunga Sword and Shield set. So if I get hit, I just go straight back in there, and I've got like plus 50 attack for a few seconds.
Nice.
It's kind of funny.
It's insane.
I kind of wish there was like negative skills again, because I want something that slows down the healing of the red portion of my health.
Negative health, negative recovery speed.
Yes. Oh, it would be meta. It would be great.
But I almost think that was an oversight by the team, maybe. The fact that other players can heal you and remove your buff. It almost feels like the Volstrax buff should also remove wide range effects from you. So like the moment you get Dragon Blight from Volstrax, you can't be affected by wide range. It almost feels like that should be a thing, but I don't know.
Yeah, but I'll have to say Crimson has taken Almudron I adore, but Crimson has taken its crown as my favorite monster of this one. And Yuna's I think
is so good.
Is still Narwa, but I don't know if it's regular Narwa or All Mother. I don't know.
Yeah.
All Mama. The English name on this one is so much more interesting than the Japanese one. It's one of the rare cases. The Japanese name for her is literally the source. Narwa, the source of the rampage. I'm like, really?
Oh,
that's such a boring
exciting
name. I don't know what All Mother means. Honestly, like, you asked me to explain. I'd be like, I don't know. But we do hit her babies, and I feel bad about it. But
And it's almost like Capcom incentivizes you to go for the baby basket, which is kind of weird, but okay.
I'm kind of curious now if like the game designers were looking at like the boom of that. What is that? The boba tea with like the little balls in there. It looks like a boba tea sack.
Maybe.
You got to beat up on the boba tea and say no.
Little Narwas and Ibushis.
Anyway, I was interested to see your guys' thoughts on that, so that's cool.
So, Eric's, what are you going to be working on for the next couple of weeks?
Next couple of weeks, probably spinning up some more Monster Hunter stuff, and then looking forward to E3. E3, like, I guess that'll be the next big thing, like announcements dropping and whatnot. So hyped for whatever they're showing there. Plus, Ratchet and Clank next week, Guilty Gear, some Final Fantasy. It's gonna be busy.
Oh, right. Final Fantasy VII is also... Oh, God. I got to play that again.
Yeah.
That game was so good. I love playing Final Fantasy VII Remastered. It's so good. But, yeah, and Gaijin is obviously going to be working on some more Monster Hunter Rise stuff for you guys here pretty soon.
Yeah, I actually made a video today. It was kind of crazy. Like, I've been so busy just
It's your Rampage guide, right?
And playing it. And just playing. And that's like part one of like 5 different videos I want to make. It's just like, I'm having too much fun.
And as for me, I'm probably going to be doing some build videos because now we have pretty much everything that we're going to be having for quite a while. So I've been working on builds for all of the weapons that I'm covering, which there's 3 weapons that I don't cover, and I'm probably going to never cover them in the future unless like I get excited about them, but it is the ranged weapons. Everything else, though, I'm there. I'm going to do like 11 different builds or whatever for each of the other weapons, and going to be showcasing those for people that are looking for something fun to try out. A lot of them include Volstrax set.
You're missing out. You're missing out because of the Rampage.
I know.
You are the Rampage when you have a light bowgun. You are the Rampage, and the monsters should be running from you. It's like,
no,
meet my little friend.
Rampage. I'm the Rampage with my gun lance. But anyway, guys, that is going to be it for today. If you guys enjoyed this episode of Third Fleet Podcast, hit it up with a like. If you didn't, hit it up with a dislike. Feedback is important. There will be links to all of Eric's stuff and all of Gaijin's stuff in the description as per usual. We'll see you guys in the next one. Stay strong. Stay safe. Peace out.
See you later.
Oh, wait. I forgot something. Gaijin, say the thing.
What?
Say the thing. I did my standard intro because I'm sleep deprived. Say it louder.
Happy hunting.
Eric's.
Happy.
See you later.
Okay.